Got it. Okay, we got it.
Okay, so here we are, everybody. I hope you can see and hear us. We did have some technical difficulties, and I think we've got it straightened out. So we are recording it, and you will be getting links through our email. We'll tell you how to watch the presentation. Tonight, we're talking with Mike Kolenut, who's the president of Lincoln Landscaping in Franklin Lakes, New Jersey. I've known Mike for about 20 years or so. We have been partners in a lot of different things where we have gone from traditional to practically a full organic program with Mike. Mike, like myself, we have a lot of the same credentials. We're both NOFA accredited organic land care people. We were both on the advisory board for the Rutgers Organic Land Care course and many other things in common. So with that, I'm going to let Mike take over, tell us a little bit about his history and the successes he's had using the methods and products to be organic. And more important, or just as important, is the financial success and how he's grown his business. So, Mike, take it away.
Thank you, Barry. Thank you for everyone that has helped put this video together. Again, Barry said it, Mike Kolenut, and I have an organic land care business, Lincoln Landscaping, up in Franklin Lakes, New Jersey. And I did a lot of debating for this presentation tonight, whether to put my actual financial figures up on the screen. And I decided to do so for this reason. I've been in classes with so many men and women for years and years, and they just out of fear, don't pull the trigger and go organic, you know? And like 7 years later, they're still taking the class, never did any of the applications organically. And I am here for you, because I jumped in the very first class with Chip Osborne. Barry thought I was out of my mind. I said, I'm going full blown out organic from this day on, and I'm never using a traditional pesticide or fertilizer again. Chip and Barry both thought I was crazy, but so we are growing unbelievable. You'll see on the video the dollar amounts. I just thought percentages might not give the visual impact of where I've come and where I've come from. So I'm going to start the presentation, which is successful strategies for managing sports turf and high profile properties, which we're getting more and more calls for almost every day. All right. So organic land care, this again is a business growth model. You can call me anytime, consult with me. In organics, we love to share. In traditional chemical applications, everything's a big secret to the other companies. And again, we're here for you. All the information's on the bottom of the screen. You can get a hold of me at any time. The true success, the key to success with organics, though, is training and education. It's not just a product for product switch. You'll never be successful that way. I've taken Chip Osborne's class 15 times. I've been all over the country. I see a good class out in Oregon. I'll actually fly out there and take the class. I've learned how to use the microscope through training, and it just helps give you the passion that people can feel and want to jump on board and join your company. Apologize here. Okay, so I started my company in 1974, and I was 90% residential. A couple clients also had a business where I do the snow plowing and stuff like that. For it says 70%, 10% commercial. I had one school account and a small snow company. We were using a chemical product approach. Growth was flat. I was going up a little bit each year. It says here I'm spiritually bankrupt. I literally hated what I was doing. I'd go up to Lesco or John Deere or whatever the Shemans and buy all these chemicals, Roundup, Trimec, 2,4-D, and I'd get it on my hands. I'd smell it for a week. I could taste it in my food. And again, I just wanted out, I was not having any fun. My first class in that bottom left box was with Chip Osborne. And I learned there from Barry and Chip that you can be successful at organics and you can maintain a property visually that looks as good or better than traditional chemicals. And once I knew that, I was so excited. And again, never turned back. So we're sitting at gross sales of about 600,000. The year after, Chip talked about athletic field maintenance. I call them playing fields to remind us all that children are playing on these fields. And, everybody's cutting residential properties, but there are not a lot of people in the applications and, management of these playing fields. So I decided to go that route. I bought this backhoe here for 10 grand. Best investment I ever made, a 40-horse diesel tractor. If you look at the tires, they're sod type tires, and I'll explain the machine that's on the back. That was the year after I took the class. Again, once you go organic and you make these decisions, so I decided to do athletic fields, and within a few months, a tractor comes up for sale. You just seem to get the karma. I really feel that God wants me to do this work. I mean, we're saving the planet one property at a time. Okay, so this is the biggest bang of a tool for the money. This is called an AirVader. It's a solid tine. I wish I could get the, you know what? I'm just going to take 1 minute and see if I could get up the laser pointer. Okay, so right in here, these tines are solid. It's not like a core aerator where they're hollow tines. So these tines go into the soil, and these tines are on a knuckle. So this thing turns all different directions. So the tines go in and they vibrate through the soil, and they turn the top 4 inches, almost pulverize it into a nice seedbed surface. Then up top here, it's called the First Products AirVader, not Aerator. There's a V in there, AirVader. And it's an AirVader with a seed box on the top. You can buy them with or without the seed box, but the seed box is really the way to go. This unit that you see up here is about $11,000. You can get them at Store Tractor. It drops the seed right down. First it aerates, then it drops the seed, and then behind it, you can't see it, but there's a set of not screens, I apologize, springs in there, and it tucks that seed 1/8 of an inch under the soil, and then it rolls the seed over it, and there's great seed to soil contact for germination. It's just a fantastic machine. Even if you don't have a core aerator right now, for the backhoe, this thing is $11,000, and core aerators like over $30,000. It's a great way to get your foot in the door with schools and municipalities, soccer organizations, etc. Apologize. Okay. So in 2007, I did take that backhoe, and I wanted to do liquid applications. Okay. Just so you know, you don't need to do liquid applications per se. You can get away with an organic granular program, but with the liquids, you can spoon feed things. You can apply compost tea and other biostimulants, and small amounts of liquid organic fertilizer. What we have here, this is a 3-point hitched pump, which was very reasonable. You put that on your PTO. We ran a set of hoses, and I'll show you, that goes to a large 250-gallon tote, which I fill with compost tea, and I can you know, pretty much do an athletic field in about an hour, a full football field. So this is the tote. You know, you can get these anywhere. I actually got those from a competitor of Barry, Compost Works, and you have to be very careful because the fittings, you know, they sell the right size fittings. There's also English standard tanks like this that you have to be very careful. They have different hose size. So we have our 3-point pump, and you can see that hose going up into a regulator, okay? And then out of the regulator, well, there's the intake, then you know, then it goes up to the regulator, and then this yellow hose sends the liquid down here, and it's hard to see. Hopefully I have a better picture, but it's called the Boominator Nozzle. Again, Compost Tea, Compost Works does sell these. They sell more brewers and stuff like that. I buy all my other products from Barry. The Boominator Nozzle is a round, you know, it might be like 3 inches wide, or, you know, 3 inches in diameter. And it has the ability to shoot a spray out all different widths. This particular width is 25 feet, tip to tip, and it's kind of an arced, I'll show you, it's kind of a pattern like this, you know. And oh my goodness, I didn't mean to do that. Let's see. Okay, so 20 feet, 25 feet wide without extensions or, you know, boom sprayers. It's so simple, it's beautiful. And also one of the pumps keeps the water activated. And that is a new backhoe that I bought the following year. It's a 55 horse diesel, again with this turf type tires, so you don't do any damage to yards and athletic playing fields. And I'm really in business. It's air conditioned and heated. It's a wonderful. I think I have the pricing in the video somewhere. Oh, okay. This is the next that I accidentally shot out with. So this is a, you know, pretty much a diaphragm pump motor and pump. That's, you know, if you bought a spray tank from Site One at the time they were selling them, that's what it is. You know, a Lesco sprayer. And instead of having it on the trailer, I mounted it in the back of this rack truck just behind the tailgate. And I have 250-gallon totes. So I can, again, put it in the backhoe, or for residential properties, etc., smaller places, I spray manual, you know, by hand. We actually made this nozzle. It's just a piece of copper pipe with a ball valve on it. And we took a fan type nozzle, and that shoots maybe like 12 feet wide. Great for residential use in tight spots, courtyards, and schools. Anywhere where you can't get the backhoe in there. So again, 2007, 2009, I took anything that I was making and put it back in the business because I was having so much fun. My passion was just growing stronger and stronger. And I put this video up because how do you get your business? You know, how do you get these playing fields? And here, so I'm going to discuss that. And again, training and education. I'll deal with that in 1 minute. So in every town, you will find, and it's mostly women, you know, even in landscaping, we need more and more women in this field. They definitely make the business just a better fit, you know. So I get into these towns, and there's always a mom or a dad that's complaining. True, I don't want to mention any names, but the chemical company came in, sprayed the 2,4-D on the field, posted it, didn't look at the schedule, and kids are playing on it the same day. It's still wet. I know one chemical company, it was 3 o'clock in the afternoon. He knew he had a game scheduled at 9. He sprayed, and he just didn't put a flag out. And the stuff was getting all over the kids. And again, I got that account from these concerned parents. They find you, you know, you get your website going, you get your education. If you take the Rutgers land care class, they post your name. If you take the NOFA Connecticut class, they post your name on their website. And that's how I get most of my business. And again, I didn't just attend a couple classes. I attend every organic class I could find. I'm a nut job. So 2008, spent some more money, and I bought these compost tea brewers to make compost tea. This is called the GOT brewer. You know, there's cone type brewers, and this is not a cone type, but it's a great compost tea maker. You know, it makes a great tea. This is a pressure release valve in case the pressure blows. These are the motors, you know, not much maintenance to it at all. You take the compost tea class at Rutgers. I do teach you how to brew this tea. I learned how to use a microscope so I could check the quality of the tea and not just make sure I'm not just applying brown water, which can happen very easily if you don't test. Over here, there's that valve that I was talking about at the bottom of the tanks. And I had that running into a 2-inch line, and that actually goes out to a pool filter pump, which filters out things like sticks and small, you know, larger particles, so it doesn't clog the nozzles on your sprayer. A lot of innovation, but it's so much fun. Apologize. So 2008, 2009, I started making my own compost because I could not find good compost. I use what's called a static air composting system. If you take a compost class with a gentleman named Peter Moon, he's out in Oregon, but he does online training. I actually went out to Oregon to see the operation. So you can make up to 100 yards of compost with the static air system that he sells. Reasonable. It's like at the most it's $3,500. You can make 100 yards of compost. It pays, you know, one batch pays for itself. It's got a pretty much like a backpack blower on it. It's got a timer, so it goes off every 20 seconds and it blasts. I apologize, twice an hour. It puts out a 20-second blast of air, and at the bottom of the pile there's a 4-inch perforated pipe that blows air up through the pile to maintain a consistent temperature. In the class you'll learn about compost temperatures. You can't let it get too hot or it kills all the bugs in the pile. Here's that backhoe again, 2008, spending more money. I pick up that core aerator. So what I do is I do the field with the core aerator, then I seed, and then I run that AirVader over the top of that as well. So I do manually hand seed, and I'll put in, you know, possibly even another type of variety of seed in the seed box. I'll talk more about seed later. There's a better picture of that. That Terra Procore H64. It runs really good on a 55-horse diesel tractor. Again, consult with me before you buy a tractor. There's definitely different types of gearing, and you can't just go out and use like a Kubota tractor. I hate to keep using names, but you know, just enough so that we don't steer you wrong. This does an amazing job. This was a field in Ridgewood. You can see how yellow it is. It was so compacted, so full, 99% broadleaf weeds and knotweed. Okay, so you can see from 2006 to 2008, 2009, we went up $300,000, you know, which is over that, $324,000. As you can see, I probably put 150 to 200,000 back in the business. but we're exciting. You know, we're getting close to the $1 million mark. And again, the passion just grows and grows. I wake up in the morning dying to go to work now. I just love it. I love myself. I love what we're doing. And I love that it's, you know, saving and protecting the earth, one field, 1 yard at a time. I took that trip to Seattle to see Peter Moon. It was the greatest time. He takes you out to a great dinner. Then I started taking these microscope classes, realizing you needed to take that to see the biology and your liquid batches of compost tea. I must have taken 6 or 8 microscope classes before I really began to understand, you know, what the organisms look like under the scope at 10x, 40x, and 100x. We repeated the class. We're taking probably Chip's class by 6, 7 times now. I invite clients, I invite schools, I invite municipalities to the classes so they can also learn and grow and partner up in this organic programs. Okay, so pardon me, it's 100,000 we spent. We were doing 600,000, so we're up $200,000 after quitting in 2 years. I was so excited. Okay, so 2008, we're starting to get into 2009, and you know, I'm trying to figure out how to market. Barry was working at the time doing some trade shows, so I joined Barry and we partnered up. We did a trade show called the League of Municipalities down in Atlantic City, and we get to meet business administrators who really make the financial decisions from, you know, 80 to 100 different communities throughout the state. I get some work from other salesmen, you know, like Barry, you know, that know what we're doing. People give him a call and he recommends us. It's just a great big family, the organic movement. This was a huge break for me. Chip Osborne was actually maintaining Maplewood, the town of Maplewood. It had some problems with the town. I'm not going to get into that, but we took that field and made it into a really premier field between 2009 and 2015. New DPW workers came in and they decided they want to do it for themselves. And in 3 years, the thing was pretty much bare dirt and mud. We picked up 6 board of educations, again, through these concerned parents, you know, and marketing, pulling schools, et cetera, et cetera. In 2009 to 2012, I'm spending more money. It takes money to make money, right, boys and girls? This top dresser at the time was $6 grand. I love this machine, especially for residential properties. It's got two fans out here, and there's a belt, like that's 1.5 feet wide belt that pulls this compost down, takes it out to the, you know, to the fans, and it does a great job. It's labor intensive. In a later slide, I also talk about, so, you know, we didn't have a compost spreader for the large athletic fields. So we were using 3 of these. I had my own and I rented 2 from Compost Works. At the time he was renting them. He stopped that. He doesn't do that for his clients anymore. So again, I'm growing, I'm excited. You know, I spent another $38,000 with the Aerator and, you know, the Compost Top Dresser, taking every organic class. I'm probably up to about 9 times taking Chip's class. So we were doing a lot of schools and municipalities, and we had to change our start time to 6 o'clock in the morning because we're working not just in our hometown, but we're starting to go down to Morristown, starting to travel like 45 minutes to jobs. And you know, you don't want to get caught in that 7 o'clock traffic, especially with the backhoes and everything else. I bartered actually for a second brewer. You saw the two side by side there. And, you know, I partner up with Terra. I partner up with Store Tractor. You know, we do some trade shows here and there. And again, I have such an intense gratitude. I'm so grateful. It's all because of Barry that I am here where I am today. He's the greatest teacher, and he's helped so much, so many of us just find that great niche. Again, for anybody who hasn't fully jumped in, it is the ride of a lifetime. You have to stop sitting back. You have to call one of us, and you have to start the process, and you will see your growth blossom. Apologize. Here we go. Okay, so again, it was crazy couple of years. So I got up to 924. Then I took a little dip back in 2010, 11 up. So it was this back and forth kind of thing for a few years, little up, little down. Part of it depended too on snow. You know, we did have that snow business that was growing as well. And again, I'm only showing these numbers, not to brag, but just to inspire you to see how easy it is to grow. This is one of our premier fields. It's in Glenmonk, New Jersey. This thing was a big pile of weeds when we started. They did resod the field for us. We did the soil adjustments that we needed to make. I'll be teaching you at the end of the class how to read soil tests so that you can make your own adjustments, whether it's residential, commercial, or institutional. Okay, 2015. This NOFA land care program is absolutely wonderful. We can get you set up with that information as well. And it's, I don't know, it's like a 3 or 4 day program. You take a test at the end, which is pretty easy to pass, you know, if you sit there and really absorb the information. This year was in Philadelphia. And once you get your certificate, every year there's further training to keep that certificate up. And when people call NOFA and ask, you know, who's a land care operator in our area, they will give your name out. That's another way I network, and you know, that's my marketing. Rutgers started the NJO. Oh no, that's I'm not sure. I apologize. Okay, that's the New Jersey Rutgers Organic Land Care Association. They teach, it's not a full curriculum program, but it's a class that's taught in the winter. I help teach it. Barry does as well. And a lot of Rick McCoy and a lot of guys that did presentations for Barry are also teachers. You get a certificate. And again, people call Rutgers and ask for organic land care operator, they look up the town in the area and they give your name out. It's wonderful, free market. Okay, so I apologize. We took Chip Osborne's class about 8 times by this point. And you can see my dynamic, you know, my categories are completely changing. You know, when I started, it was 70 to 90% residential. That's dropped to less than half. Everybody's doing residential. So much competition. If you're $5 less, people will take you. It's just, you know, the residential that we now do is more estate management. We do our share of, you know, smaller homes. People are passionate about native plants and organic land care. So we're up to 20%. I think that figure was 10% before. Big jump in municipal and school work, our marketing, you know, our recommendations by these people. And then the snow care, you know, grew from 6% to 10%. I don't really like to do snow. As everybody will tell you, it's blood money. So I didn't grow really large in that area. So, you know, again, we were hovering in that $1 million mark, again, up and down. But then in 2015, it began another upward cycle. Just have to be patient. Again, it could be weather related, it could be snow, you know, a lot of reasons why that's dipping up and down. Employees leaving or not leaving, you know. Okay, so 2015, 17, I sent my entire crew to CHIPS classes. It was such a huge morale booster. They learned, you know, they started to pick up the passion that I've been so obsessed with, and they're having a great time as well. No more Roundup, no more, you know, Trimec, 2,4-D. It's just a wonderful life. Okay, rented those 2 top dressers from Compost Works. They don't have that now, so I have to figure out another strategy for doing our large athletic playing fields. Politics. When you're dealing in schools and municipalities, there's so much politics. You'll be at a municipality, you know, for 5 years, and that business administrator's no longer there. And the new guy, it's not about quality, it's about dollars. And, you know, organics are more than the chemicals. So you're out. Then you have to scramble, and all of a sudden that new business administrator is calling you from another town. And he's telling people as well. So that referral within these organizations is a huge way that I get a lot of business as well. We started picking up some high-end estate work. This is an account that we picked up. You know, we tried to rotate our cutting styles, get some nice, cool-looking lines. Tough piece of property, inundated with nutsedge, stilt grass. All in the woods behind it is loaded with stilt grass, and it just creeps into the lawn. Very, very difficult. Poor drainage, every problem in the world this property has. And we have the turf looking halfway decent. High expectation. So when I sell a job, I try to see that expectation level. You know, there's organic people who don't care about the quality as long as they're not getting pesticides put down on the property. Other people are, I call it organic by neglect. They do nothing at all, and there's just nothing but weeds in the lawn. And those actually are much harder to get organic than a client that's been using traditional chemicals and have most of the weeds gone. But still, we can overcome that even on a property that has done nothing for 10 years. It's an emerging market, this high-end residential as well. It's all about your credentials and your knowledge. It's not just about the dollars. Again, these are other views of the property. That high expectation residential is emerging, and we're ready for it, you know. The thing is, when you take all those classes, you become an expert. You have to establish yourself as an expert, and it's great because I know so many landscape companies that are organic blasted all over their trucks and trailers, and when they come in to a knowledgeable client that knows about organics, and the client starts asking them questions, they can't answer it. I get more work as well from people who are getting conned by these organic supposed companies that are just dousing their place with pesticides. Try to pick this up a little bit, the pace. So 15 to 17, just a quick picture of a temperature gauge for soil in the early spring. You know, for your organic pre-emergence, and even for fertilizer applications, soil temperature is really important. We all know about degree days, and here is the question of the century with organics. Okay, I apologize. Let me go back to there. I tried for years to make organics cost neutral or the same price as chemicals. Well, in my experience now, doing it for 15 years, whatever, I cannot match a True Green or whatever. I just can't match their price. I tried everything, liquid programs. I failed with the liquids because I wasn't getting enough nitrogen down. And the biggest way to fail in organics is not to monitor how much nitrogen you're putting down for each application. And you don't get enough nitrogen down, and the client, those high expectation clients will walk. I do a soil test on every property. This is in 2017. The texture analysis, all these have gone up a little bit, but it's pretty close to $150 for a basic chemistry test and this texture analysis. I stopped getting the basic chemistry and I get a total chemistry test, which includes metals in there and a lot of other things that the basic chemistry does not give you. This was a great find of the century, 2017. This is actually a Mill Creek. It's a manure spreader, okay? It gets mounted on the back of the PTO, and I can do 100 yards of mulch on these athletic fields in a day with this machine. A backhoe, on the front of this machine, and I have that other backhoe to load. It's awesome. Todd Harrington is another big name in organics. He's up in Connecticut. He was an early pioneer that worked with Elaine Ingham, and I actually bought that spreader from him. And for $6,000, it was one of the best buys I ever got in business. Todd Harrington also sells great worm castings, where I get my worm castings fresh from his worm farm, and that's what I make my tea out of, worm castings, among other things, other food sources. So, in the year 17, I'm still spending my share of money, not the big bucks, but, now I'm making my own compost. We operate with Ferris lawn mowers since, I don't know what it was, 2014 or something. And we are getting heavily into the emerging electric, market. But Ferris has an attachment, or even any of your mowers, Skags. You take a plate and you bolt it over your side discharge, and what it does is it respins the leaves several times. You have your mulch blades on, and it turns the leaves into a powder, and we put that around the shrubs and the trees as a mulch, not touching, of course, the trunk or the bark. And tremendous fertilizer, tremendous use of the leaves. We're not using vacuums anymore. All the leaves are getting recycled back into the property, and food for all the, the shrubs, trees, and perennials on the property. So we have a three-way partnership, the client, myself, and my employees. And the whole key is managing these expectations. Find out where your client is in there. Is it a low expectation, middle, or a really high, tough expectation? And you develop your plan accordingly. Again, it's not a product for product switch. It's not a bag of this for a bag of that. But through education and training, you learn about this system. You take your chemistry test, you take your biology test, and your texture analysis, and you combine those tests. And right in the middle of all those tests is a sweet spot where the biology lives. And that's our goal, get that biology really kicking in. Again, we're getting close to, 2020, getting less residential, picking up the commercial. The athletic playing fields is going up to almost half our business. And again, not pushing that snow care, we're staying the same. I just do snow care because I have these really high expectation clients, and I don't want another company in there snooping around. (2018 to 21). Okay, so we're really starting to grow now. growth the last 5 years, it's just been beyond my wildest imagination. 18, you know, like 1.3, 19, 1.5. We're not doing that back and forth game anymore. 2020, 1.7, and this year over 2 million. I think we went up over $260,000 this year, something like that. And having a lot of fun doing so. And again, I'm not putting these numbers up to, you know, brag or boast. It's to show you that organics can be extremely profitable. It's extremely beneficial for your peace of mind. Okay, and you know, I have a good friend, also an organic land care operator, got the Landscape of the Year award from the NJNLA, and he went out and bought the electric equipment last year, and I'm following suit. One thing I have to tell you, whether it's this battery powered stuff and anything else in this organics, I did not invent anything. All this has been taught to me. You can learn it. You don't, you know, you don't have to be an Albert Einstein to figure it out. It's very easy, and it's a system approach. So you learn that system and you will be successful. After I get my lawn mowers, all of a sudden people are calling me all over the place. Hey, do you do electrics? You know, word's getting around. And again, so exciting. This is our high-end residential. So my son worked with me in a company about 5 years ago, and he's a native plant guy. He taught me all about the native plant business, the plants themselves. I went to classes, and here was in my transition years, but 95% of the plants on this property are native, true native, not cultivar. But then I have things like myrtle around the trees with some fern, you know, some native ferns. And I did not do this mason work. That was already here. I apologize. It's terrible. There's a, you know, Circus canadensis up there. Here's a lot of Fothergilla massing. You know, I have a lot of chelone in here. We sodded with the tall type fescue sod. It's 95% tall type fescue with about 3 or 4 different types of fescues and 5% Kentucky blue. I used to use a lot of ryegrass. I find if you seed August 15th with the tall type fescue with the 5% blue, get a really good quality seed. Barry sells one, I believe it's called Evolution. You will minimize your water. You can have a much drier, you don't need to run your irrigation heads all the time. The fertility, it doesn't need as much fertilizer. And in the summer, you know, it can go into a little state of dormancy, but it kicks right back. Great color. This is that same yard. There's some Aruncus in here, goat's beard, you know, some penstemon we got in there. We got some dog, you know, Cornus florida in there. Back in here is a lot of, oh my goodness, Aronia, you know, Aronia Britil. I apologize. The brilliant, you know, the brilliantisma. I apologize, and ground covers, etc. Again, we added some compost to this soil. So compacted through construction. We're just about at the end. I wanted to save room to, and again, native plants. I refuse to plant a plant unless it's native. And for the most part, I very rarely use cultivars. I straight species. I will use a cultivar if it's a matter of size. Like there's a Joe Pye weed and there's a little Joe Pye weed, and same, you know, same basic flowering and plant, but it's just 3 to 4 feet instead of 7 to 10 feet, things like that. All right, let's see. just a couple more high-end residential properties. That's back to that one. Ridgewood, a lot of non-native things in there. But as plants deteriorate and die, we built this wall, you know, good 10 years ago. So I label this part of the talk, the field of dreams. These are before and after pictures of communities, schools. This was the township of it was in Morris Township. They were having it was a municipal job. They were having a huge soccer tournament just after Labor Day. I went and visited the field. This is in March. Big mud spots like this, unplayable, field closed for 2 years. Okay. We went in there with our program, the organic fertilizers, the overseeding, the aeration, the aeravation, manage the water better. And this is 6 months later. It was a really good tournament. There's that mulch spreader I was talking to you about. This is down in, oh my goodness. I'm going to stop mentioning the towns because I forget. Neptune. So the guy said compost can't work. He had like 15 athletic fields like this. So he says, I want to do something. I want to give it a try and see if compost really works. So we did half the field. We corrorated the whole place. We aerated the whole place. And we did compost on this side of the field. You can see it. This other half, we did not do the compost top dress application. And you can see such a striking difference, you know. He was sold on the program. You know, we compost top dress at all the fields. That's another, you know, that's a Neptune as well. There was all kind of nutsedge, crabgrass, overwatering, and 2 years later, the fields look good. This is Point Pleasant, down in Point Pleasant. Mark's been a client for a long, long time. It was getting cut really short. A lot of bare spots. It's hard to see, but really, really tough to grow turf. Sandy, compacted soils. And the Compost Top Dress just brought that thing around. And the right seed, you know, the tall type fescue seed. This is in Princeton Daycare. We actually got fired from this job because back in some areas like the goal mouse and the center line, it was constant play on these fields, never rested. And there was some crabgrass in the goal areas, again, because it was constantly getting kicked up and bare dirt. And we got fired with the turf looking that good. This is couple, you know, these are after pictures. This is Glenmonk. This is out in western New Jersey. This field was extremely rough. Just successful, you know. This is up in Mahwah, New Jersey. Successful turf care. Organics do work. At the time, that's that western New Jersey again. Oh no, actually that's Mahwah. I apologize. At the time, you know, we were using manual spreaders, which we still do for our overseeding. I just don't use the straight seed box on the top. I put it down heavy, 8 pounds per 1,000. And you guys know how much seed is done up this year. I might have to change some of my strategies around. A couple more. That's another more Glenmonk schools. You know, before, that's actually before and after picture. This is a great field. This thing was bare dirt when we started. This is a good story. This is down in Ferrum Park. It says municipal, but municipal and the Board of Education is very tied in down there. So this field, the front, no irrigation here. The front was terrible. Every fall, grubs devastated the property. So they'd send me down for these organic grub applications. and they were using their whole budget on grub control. Talked them into a soil test. We found out the pH was like 4.9 instead of 6.5. Started liming. We started, again, they didn't really have a big budget. We got the pH in order. We did an aeration, got the compaction relieved, and we did do one application of Compost Tea, and we never had a grub issue again. It looks remarkable for, you know, we only do liquid feedings due to cost on these fields, but they do that school. It looks remarkable for the little input we do put in there. Okay. Again, training. Last year we applied to be a New Jersey sustainable company. It's awesome. Just another feather in the cap, and you know, it looks great on your resume. You guys can all do that if you go organic. These are our lawn care signs. You know, instead of warning pesticides, it's just, you know, it's nice. It's cute. Okay, so this is the second half of the presentation. I'll try to go fairly fast. I know we're getting short on time, but this is so important. So again, I don't do a project, I apologize, to take a sip of water. I don't do any property unless I get the basic soil test first. If they only want to spend, like, you know, $150, we'll do the basic chemistry test. If they don't mind spending another $50 on top of that, we'll do the total chemistry test, which shows a lot more. All right. So this test is a soil texture analysis. You want to know how much sand, silt, and clay are in your soils. All right. Percent sand, you know, 64, even up to 75% sand is normal. You know, 2% were extremely low in clay. Clay is really good for cation exchange and a little high in silt, but it's a sandy loam. Okay. This test is $40. A&L Labs have turned to Waypoint Analytical. I use the one in Virginia. They also have a lab in Pennsylvania. And I personally try to get soil tests all from the same lab. It just makes it easier to read. In my presentation here, I'm going to show you several different labs. So when you run across these, you know, analysis, you're not going to be confused. All right. So again, all right. So I want to, you know, give credit where credit is due. This soil tests are actually from a Chip Osborne athletic field that he was maintaining at the time. He does let me use these soil surveys tests for a teaching model. I just have to go out there and do my own one of these days. Okay. All right, so that's the textural analysis. Now this is the chemistry on the left, and then the biology soil food web test on the right. So this test over here, you know, you really have to get your glasses on, and I apologize. I don't know if you have the zoom on your computer, but if you look close, okay. So this is from UMass University of Massachusetts. Chip's up at Marblehead, Massachusetts. So he uses a local lab. So when we read a soil test, these are the things that we are looking for. And it's pretty funny. These are the things that we look at. Up here are recommendations by the lab. So I like the recommendations on things like lit gypsum and lime and dolomite, calcite lime. But every soil test I have ever seen, they say the same thing. Apply this urea-based fertilizer at 3 pounds per 1,000 square feet, like every time. You know, it's so funny. So so these are the things that I look at immediately on the test. I go right to soil pH, okay? So as we know, for turf, pH is supposed to be between 6.5 and 7 to be ideal. This is all the way down to 5.1, so it's super acidic. Then we go to another thing. So we know we need to work on, you know, some kind of liming program. Organic matter. Organic matter, we want to be between 4.5 and 6.5% for turf, okay? Most New Jersey soils are like 2.5% organic matter. So you're gonna have to do some work to get that up, but sometimes you get pleasantly surprised like this one, and it's naturally very good in organic matter. Here's the edge. Whenever you get the test, you'll see next to it the desirable range. Here it is, 4 to 10. I don't like 10% for turf. You know, it's a little high for me. I've had them where they're 8, 9% and still had a lot of success. And some kind of plants like higher ranges in the organic matter. Then I go down and look at the nutrient levels, okay? So the phosphorus, you know, it's high, all right? So we know the New Jersey fertilizer law will never use phosphorus, certainly on this property. The potassium is on the high side as well, which is great. Phosphorus and potassium, you really need good amounts of those to get relieve summer stress. If you have a lawn that looks great in the spring and the fall, but the spring and summer or the late summer dies off, that you probably have a phosphorus or potassium deficiency. The cal-mag ratio, I actually like to see about 8 to 1%, but it's not this calcium and magnesium. You can see you need calcium and magnesium. They're both medium to medium low. So what really you're looking for in a cal-mag ratio is this base saturation. So you want the base saturation to be about 8 to 1 ratio, okay? So right here, your magnesium's 3, calcium 16. You know, you definitely need more magnesium. Can you see that? 8 to 1 would be like 24. We got 16.3. So we want to get our magnesium up. Cation exchange. So it's soil pH, organic matter, your base saturation, and cation exchange. This is super important. Tough to explain. You'll learn it in your organic classes. It's basically the exchange sites, the way it can pull nutrients out of the soil to feed the roots. A good level is about 13%, 13, here 17.4. It's great. So I look at this soil, I look at the graph, you know, I might do some kind of magnesium treatment. But what I know is I have to work on that pH. All right. So our calcium can go up. What does it say up on the recommendations? Totally. So they want to put dolomite lime down. Okay. So if your calcium levels are high and your pH is low, you'll use dolomite, or gypsum as well can do the same thing. On the full chemistry test, you'll see like the lead level. So what I want to teach you in this presentation is that this is the chemistry test, okay? So the chemistry with the texture analysis that we showed you, it's a sandy loam, needs a little bit more water than a loam. You know, the sand drains pretty well, but this is the biology. So this test is about $250. and it tells you the biology of the soil. What I'm going to show you is how you can look at the chemistry test and pretty much know what the biology test is going to be. So I'll show you how to read these. So exciting. It's so much fun. Don't be intimidated. So we'll start right here. Active bacteria. It says excellent. Okay. But next to it, this is the number I look at. Total bacteria, it's low. Okay. So, so what that means is what bacteria is in the soil is very active. It's just there's hardly any of it there. Okay, so you get your low reading, and I'll tell you what to do with all this stuff. Active fungi, the same thing. What is active is good, but there's very little of it. Total fungi is low. We got to get these numbers up. Disease resistant, this is more advanced stuff, the hyphal diameter. So then we go into the flagellates, all right? So flagellates, protozoa, eat bacteria and fungi, and they poop out nitrogen. So if the bacteria and the fungi are low, well, the flagellates are going to be low. For some reason, I don't know why, but the protozoa is high, okay? We'll take it, but we want to get this flagellate up into the high range. And ciliates, okay? Ciliates are not good. Ciliates are a sign of anaerobic, compost tea that's getting old, no air, losing oxygen in the soil. So you don't want this number to be excellent. You want ciliates to be low. It's okay, they're good, but we'll get that down. I apologize, spacing out there, guys. It's getting late. Okay, so nematodes, we'll get into that. Mycorrhiza, we'll get into that in the advanced parts of the classes. So this is what I'm looking at, okay? Down here, you'll see your total fungi to bacteria ratios. For turf, we want it pretty much to be even 1-to-1 ratio. So over here, so it's a 0.67, 0.8. Again, we want a balanced 1-to-1 ratio. Most soils, especially when they have a lot of weeds, are very bacterial dominated, and you'll see a much higher bacteria number than fungi. This is the big number. This is the whole ball game right here. This bottom right-hand box, plant available nitrogen, okay? Pounds per acre. So a great lawn needs about 200 pounds per acre. If you took a bag of Scott's lawn food and applied it at the label rate, it's about 50 pounds of nitrogen per acre at label rate, okay? So this, even though the soil is low and, not good, we still are picking up 50 to 75 pounds of N per acre, which is about the size of a bag of fertilizer, a urea-based fertilizer. So when I'm developing my turf plans, I know if I'm doing 5 feedings, I take this number and I combine it with the fact that we're getting about another ½ a pound of nitrogen through the grass clippings, recycling those. I hope nobody's picking up grass anymore. And we're getting equivalent of a whole feeding. So especially in a competitive market, I can do 4 feedings instead of 5 feedings. It's fantastic. And I'm going to show you how these profiles build up as we get better. So why are we getting all these low numbers? Everything else is in balance. It's the pH. Bacteria, it's so acidic. The bacteria and the fungi just don't want to live in that kind of soil. They're out in the woods, the neighbor's woods or whatever. So you're going to see the phenomenal changes we make as we improve the pH and all the soil adjustments we need to make. Here's another UMass test. Same thing. This is, more than 3 months later. So what we did several applications of lime to get that pH up. We took it from 5.1 to 6.0. Okay, it's not where we want to be yet, but it's getting there. And I'm going to show you the phenomenal difference it makes. As we're improving pH, even the cation exchange, I think it was 13 in the other one, that's going up. You know, the whole soil profile is improving as we get rid of this intense acidity. Our phosphorus, you know, we're on the high range. Potassium, 135. You know, we're in the, you know, getting close to the high range. Again, that's our summer stress. Calcium and magnesium, remember, it's not that, it's this, I'll show you. I circle them to show you what the, just let me go on with the test. I apologize for being all over the place. Then you look at your trace elements. This is a full chemistry test, not the basic one like the first one. And you go through, and if things are low, you make adjustments. If potassium is completely out of whack, you know, Barry has products to bring up the potassium. And sometimes that's cheaper than going out and changing all your application bags and using high, you know, potassium, like a, you know, a 906 or something like that. And you see there's the bar graph down there to make them really easy. Organic matter, 7.2%. Okay, that's, you know, remember 4.5 is all we need, so that's fantastic. Here's the base saturation right here that we look for, that cal mag ratio. So it's 39 to 10, you know, it's really not in balance at all, you know what I mean? So calcium should be 8 times more than the magnesium. So we have some work to do there. And in this change of the pH and adding the lime, we're going to get a better balance there. So how does that relate to our biology? Okay, so we look active bacteria, and it's still good. I think it went from good to excellent. So what's there is very active, but the total bacteria is what I really like to look at. And it went from poor to good. Okay, because here it's very easy. It's because of the pH, but there's many other reasons on this test why it could not be good. Again, the active is great, and we went from total fungal mass, you know, a poor all the way up to good. So excited about that kind of stuff. Flagellates went from low to high. The protozoa is still high. Ciliates, they're even lower now. You see that? So again, ciliates are the bad guys. I don't worry too much about the nematodes and the ecto right at this moment. You know, there's our ratios. I looked at that a little bit, but here we are, the secret of success, the plant available nitrogen, that went from 50 to 75, doubled, because we're getting better balance in our soils, to 100 to 150. That's equal, plus with our clippings, you know, is equal to 2 fertilizer applications. So we can use a like a lower number. The higher the nitrogen is in a fertilizer bag, there's less and less goodies for the soil. So the lower the nitrogen, the more things they can put in the bag. Things like humates and other things that you'll learn about in your classes. But chemistry and biology are related, okay, by soil health. Soil test report. What lab is this one from? It looks like it's from that UMass same lab. I might have got it cut off. So we're liming, you know, doing the illuminate lime like they suggested. And it takes 3 months to make an adjustment on lime. So don't put down lime and think you can go back there in a couple weeks and check the level. It takes a good 90 days to make that adjustment. pH right where we want it, 6.5. Wow, I'm getting really excited. You know, we're getting better up in here. I'm not going to waste time on that. You can read that. Cation exchange, because we're getting better soil health, jump all the way up to 16. You know, we added some humics in there, humic acid. We did a liquid spray, or chipped in, I should say. Our base saturation, 10 to 55. We're getting better, you know. And what else? You know, salts and all that are good. How does that relate to the biology now? You know, bacteria went from good to excellent. Total fungal, we're getting great fungal mass. You know, flagellates are high. The protozoa, which I had, we don't worry to, you know, the protozoa, I apologize, here I am drifting again, it's getting late. Also high, ciliates are low, we want them to be. You can look at these numbers, but look at over here. Plant available nitrogen per acre jumped all the way up to 250 pounds per acre. You can, that's as much nitrogen as the property needs for the whole season. What we do in a case like this is we don't use high nitrogen products, but we're using more of a spoon feeding approach, smaller amounts of nitrogen, more humics. You know, Barry will talk to you about the different products. Sometimes we'll use a product called GDH. It's like a granular compost. And we're really where we want to be in these soil tests right now. I don't like to cheat and go right to that number, but you always want to be looking at that. This test again, Soil Food Web, we used the one from Long Island. His name is Paul Wagner. You take the test, you fill a baggie, I pop some holes in the baggie and overnight it to him. And this test was about $250. I think that might be about it, boys and girls. So this is my contact information. You can call me anytime, any place. I'd be more than happy to share anything that I know. That's it. All right. I thank you, Barry. I thank you. I thank all the people who helped set up the program. I apologize that we weren't able to broadcast live tonight, but we're getting the information out to you. And again, Mike Kolenut, Lincoln Landscaping. I'm a happy, happy camper. God bless you all.